What's up guys, Van Zeben here today with your next Java 2D game development tutorial. Today we're going to be taking a look at loading levels, and we're starting off on quite the positive note today, because I got this comment earlier from Capri John is his YouTube username, and he actually took this game that we've been learning how to do, and he implemented his own little version of it. So you'll see this is the same guy that we have, and we got some health system here, we got some chests, and I'm assuming these are like barbed wire-ish kind of things, because when you go over them, you get hurt. And this is really cool. I'm glad that somebody's actually taking initiative and showing some things that they've added onto it. He's also got a little chest that pops up and tells you to press E, hit E, and it says nothing's in here. This is a kind of like a splash screen. It's an image from his resources. But this is really cool. I'm glad that somebody's taking this, and if we just kill ourselves, he didn't implement the collision yet, but that's okay, that's perfectly fine. This is really cool on its own, and if we go here ahead and die, you'll see that we die and it says you died. So this is really cool. I'm glad that somebody's actually taking initiative and showing their work, and he's got another one that he posted as well. So go check those out. His comment is in the collisions. I'll link to his channel as well in the description or on the screen or something like that right now. So check that out. That's really cool. I'm really glad that somebody's taking initiative and actually showing us what they've done with this so far. So that's really cool. So let me switch into the actual game development environment today, and let's get right to this episode. Okay, so here we are in our environment here, as usual. Last episode we left off with collisions, so if we start our game up, you will see our guy just kind of walks around the screen, and he gets stuck in certain places, and he can't move any farther. So that's really good news. So we have collision working now. So now what we need to do is we need to make a level, because I want to start working on an advanced collision system that I wanted to get out today. But then I realized that we need a level loading system to do that. Basically what I'm saying is last episode we're kind of defining the player's box and defining that this whole tile is solid. But what if we want to be able to move in parts of the tile? What if we want, say, half of the tile? Or say we want a rock in the middle that we can't get over, or like the bottom left corner of the tile that we just can't get over, but we can move in the rest of the tile. So it's a little bit more advanced collision detection stuff, and we'll be using the rectangle class in Java for that, because last week we just built our own. So we're going to be doing that next episode, I want to say. Maybe next episode we'll have to create the actual objects first, so we'll do, probably next episode will be some extra tiles to add to the game. But this episode we're going to be getting on a level loading system. I've had some suggestions on how to go about this. I'm just going to do the original implementation. There are many different implementations that you can do for a level loading system. But for this one, since we're only in a 2D game, we're going to be just creating an image essentially. So we're going to create an image, and we're going to load it off of that image and load all the resources off that image and the sizing and all that. So let's go into our level class here, and we're going to get rid of these. Actually, we'll put an if statement here after, but we'll just bring these down a little bit. We're going to remove this in the width and the height here, and we're going to say string, and it's going to be image path. So this is essentially going to be the path to the level image. So there's going to be an image with a level, and each different pixel of color is going to represent a different tile. Okay, so the grass tile could be green, the stone tile could be purple. It doesn't really matter the colors, but as long as we know those colors. But we're going to expand upon this further later on, and I might also go into some alternate ways to load levels, because this is only for a 2D game. Since it's a very simple 2D game, I don't really want to go and do like a data file or anything like that, because that's not really necessary for this. But I might do that in an alternate tutorial, like some alternate ways to do these kinds of things. But anyways, so let's get started today. What we need to do is we need a function to load the level from that file. Actually, before we even need that, we need a couple different extra variables up here. What we need is we need a private string, and this is, string image path. You don't necessarily need it to be a global variable. You could just pass this image if you're only loading the image from the file once, and you don't want to save to the file, and you don't want to do any sort of kind of like sandbox things. But since this is a game engine that is going to expand into a sandbox game, I'm putting this stuff here for you. So if you don't want to do this kind of stuff, then you can figure out ways to go around it. It's not too hard to do at all. Just pass things in the function instead of actually making them global variables. Next we need an image here, a buffered image, sorry, and we'll call it image. So those are two variables. We'll import buffered image as L with Control-Shift-O or Command-Shift-O if you're on Mac, and then we'll just format that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to call a function here, and we're going to say if the image path is not equal to null, then we're going to do something. Else, then we're going to run this code. So if the image path, if we just send a null in, then we're going to generate it on the fly. And we're going to set, let's move that down. We are going to set the width, just a default width, to 64 by 64. Just to be consistent with things. So that's that. So it'll generate that level if we send in nothing. But if we do send in something, we want to go to a function. And the function we want to make today is we're going to call it load level from file. Okay? And again, if you don't want to make global variables and you don't need to write to the file again, you can just pass in this image path right here, and then we'll deal with it down here. So now we're going to have a class here. We'll make it a private class, and we're going to say private void load level from file. Okay, we're going to take no parameters unless you're passing the image through here again. And what we're going to say is we're going to do a try, and it's going to catch an IO exception. E.print stack trace. Okay. Now what an IO exception is it's an input-output exception. So something within the file, either the file doesn't exist, or that there's some sort of issue with the file that's actually there that means that the code that we're going to write can't run. It's going to keep this error up until we actually write some code to put in there. So what we're going to say is we're going to say this.image is equal to image.io .read. Okay, and then we're going to say level.class.getResource, .getResource, and then this.image path. Okay, and now what this line is going to do is it's going to get the resource. That's what this is. I think we've used it before to get the tiles stuff inside. Where would it be? It would be in the sprite sheet. I believe we use it. Yes, we use get resource as stream. You can use get resource as stream again. I just don't feel like typing that out. But it's very similar. So that's what we're going to do here, and this will essentially put the image data from the image into this image file, or this image variable. Next, what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to set this width and this height here. So we're going to say int, let's see, we're just going to make a local variable as well. We're going to say int w, actually no, let's not. Let's just say this.width. Oops, width is equal to image.getWidth. Okay. God, I can't type today. Copy that down one line for the height, and make sure you change all this to get height as well. So there we got that. So now we have those two variables. Now we're going to have to initialize this tiles variable. So we're going to say tiles is equal to new int width times height. Okay. So there's that. And actually, this should not be like this. This should be these brackets instead. Oops, there. There's that. Oh, that's right, that's right. This is a byte. So what we're going to have to do here is, let's just leave it a byte. Yeah. Okay. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to do, instead of calling, yeah, we'll have to make a function here. So we're going to say private void load tiles. Okay. Now what this is going to do is it's going to load these tiles from the image. So now we're going to say this dot load tiles. Oops. Tiles. Okay. So now what we need here is we need to load all these tiles. Why isn't this? So what we need to do in the load tiles is we need to parse out the color of the image and turn that into an ID value, because this tiles is not in colors. These bytes do not represent the colors of tiles, they represent the ID. So we're going to have to parse that out. So what we're going to do first is we're going to create an internal int array, very similar to tiles, but it's going to be tile colors. Okay. And it's going to be equal to this dot image get RGB. Okay. Now here's a bunch of variables that you're going to need to know. So we're going to start at 0, 0. Okay. I'm just going to get rid of all these because I don't need these here. We're going to start at 0, 0. That's the starting position. It's going to be width and height. It's going to be null here, and then 0 and width. Okay, and now what this is going to do is it's going to translate all of the image from the buffered image. It's going to translate all the buffered image data into an actual int. So it's going to put all those ints into here respective to where they are. You could also create this and then put tile colors in here, but we're not going to do that because I like to see what we're assigning variables to rather than just send it to a function to be assigned. So I prefer this method much more. So that's what we're going to do. Now that we have all the colors of the tiles inside an int array, we're going to have to go through and we're going to have to parse those and translate those into the actual ID values. So it's very, very simple. What we're going to do is we're going to do for int y is equal to 0, y is less than height, y plus plus, and then same with x, for int x is equal to 0, x is less than width, x plus plus. So now what we're going to do is we need to loop through all of the different tiles that we possibly have, and they're all located in this tiles array. So it's very simple to do. We're going to use a kind of fancy for loop. I don't know if I've used it before, but we're going to do for, and then for every tile, and we're going to call it t so we can reference it with t, in tile.tiles, and then open it up. Now what this is doing is, if you can't see the syntax, go into 1080p or to 720p and view it a little closer, but it's for tile t, and then colon, and then tile.tiles. Now what this is doing is it loops through every single tile in the tiles variable, and it allows you to access it with the variable t. So now what we're going to say is if t.getColor, now we haven't created this yet, so we're going to create that in a sec, is equal to tile colors, and then brackets, and then x plus y times width, which is why we needed to do these x and y. So if these two are equal and they're the same, then we're going to say tiles, we're going to say this dot tiles is equal to t.getID. Okay? And why isn't that working? Cannot convert from, this dot. So then what we're going to say is we're going to say this dot tiles at x plus y times width is equal to t.getID. Okay? So that's going to put the ID into it. Now we need to create this color variable, so we're going to have to go into the tile class, and we're going to have to add a new variable here. I'm going to make it private because we don't really need to reference it anywhere else. Int color, and we're going to leave it like that, and we'll add it as the last parameter on here, so we're going to say int color. I'm not going to name it anything more appropriate than that because that's perfectly fine. Equals color, and then down here we need to go public int get color, return color. Okay, so now we also need to go into basic tile, and we need to add a color here, so we're going to say int color. And I know this is going to get confusing because there's tile color and then there's color, but tile color is reference to the actual colors on the tile, whereas color is the actual index on the level tile. So we're just going to, actually I could do that. We'll say level color. I'll rename it to level color. Level color. Just so it's a little less confusing. And we also need to go to basic solid tile and do the same. Int level color and level color. And go into tile, rename it level color. And instead of just get color, we're going to say get level color. Okay, so now we have a level color variable that we can access here. And these three are going to light up because we haven't assigned them colors yet, and don't worry about that, we'll do that in a minute. Go into here and change this get color to get level color. Okay, so there we go, so there's loading of the tiles. Now we're going to need some sort of saving feature because, again, if you're not going to be doing a sandbox game, you don't really have to worry about this, or if you don't want to be changing the data on the fly, don't worry about this, but we are going to, just because I want to be very thorough with this. So we're going to say private, actually let's make it public. No, we'll have a save function, so private void save level to file. Okay, and now this is why we stored these two variables way up here, because we need to access that image path again because we want to save back to the same file. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say try, and we're going to do the same kind of thing, catch IO exception E, and then e.printStackTrace. So if anything screws up, let me know. That's what the e.printStackTrace does. It'll print it out here. Now in the try, we're going to say image IO, IO.write, and we're going to say image, so image, comma, and then we're going to say PNG. This is the format that we're in. If you're using a GIF file, you can use a GIF file, you can use a .gif, etc., etc. And now we need the actual file. So we're going to say new file, level.class dot get resource, and we're going to say, what did I call it? Image path. Yes, this dot image path. So this same thing up here, this dot image path, and then we're going to import all that. Now you're going to import java.io.file this time, not the other one. And then after you do the get resource, do this .get file. Okay, so that'll give you the path to the file. So this will actually take your image and it will insert it into this file here. Okay, so yeah. Lastly, what we need is, because this is only saving, we haven't actually altered this image at all. We're just kind of saving the data and loading it now. So now we need an alter function. So we're going to say public void alter tile. Okay, and this is going to take an X position, a Y position, and the new tile. So we're going to call it new tile. So what we need to do now is we need to change the tiles up top. So we need to change the local, first we need to change the actual tile. So we need to update that. So we're going to say this dot tiles, tiles at X plus Y times width, and then is equal to new tile dot get ID. So that'll update it locally within the screen or within the level so that we can see that. Now we need to actually push the changes. So we're going to say image.setRGB, and we're going to say X, Y, and then it's going to be new tile.get color, or .get level color. Oops, OLOUR. Okay. Now this will actually set the image, so now the image is contained with some new RGB data. So that's what we got so far. So now we're going to fix up these, and we're actually going to create our tiles. So here's our resource folder here, and we're going to go and add a new folder. We're going to call it levels, levels, and we're going to go open up Photoshop, and we're going to say new, and this is going to be every single pixel is going to represent a tile. So we're only going to make this one, I don't know, let's say 10 by 10, just for now. Okay, and now this is where we're going to start defining our colors. First I'm going to unlock this layer, and I'm going to delete everything. Okay, so now we're going to need to say what colors are what. So we're going to have black be void, we're going to have, let's say, this color, actually 555, 6 5s is going to be a gray. Okay, so I'm going to have a border of gray, just because that's going to kind of be the stone area, and we can't walk through stone, so I just want to have that. We're going to have grass be full green, so it's going to be 0 red, 255 green, and 0 blue. So that's going to be grass. Okay, this is just to make sure things work. And do we have any other tiles right now? I don't think we do. That's okay. So I'll just fill this all in with grass, and then we'll actually put some more stone in the middle here, just like that. Okay, so it's kind of like a bullseye. So now go into your workspace and go into your levels folder and save it as, we're going to save this as small level. And we're going to make it a PNG, small test level, small underscore test underscore level. And make sure you save it as a PNG, or save it as whatever kind of format you're saving it, or whatever kind of format you're loading it from here. Make sure it's the same. And I'm just hit OK on the extra settings that pops up when you save a PNG. Those are really irrelevant at the moment. So now we got our colors. Now we designated void to be black, so we're going to say 0x000000 full alpha, and then 1 2 3 4 5 6. So your alpha channel is always the first one, as we saw before when we did the colors.get here. We had to remove this first, so we need to add that back in here. Stone, we said 0xFF, and we said full 5, so 1 2 3 4 5 6. So we put 6 5s, sorry. And green we designated as full green, so 0xFF, and then 00 FF00, and that will do a full green. Okay, so save it, and there's the tile warning should be gone. Last warning is the game. So in the game, we need to designate, instead of 64 by 64, we need to send it a path. So we're going to say levels, and then slash, let's refresh our workspace just so we can see it here. So it's right here. So /levels /small underscore test underscore level dot png, and save it. Okay, so now we got that. Let's just run it and see what happens. Okay, so our first error came up. It came up in load level from file because something was null. Image path was null, wasn't it? Yes, it was. Okay, so what we got to do here is go back to Java, cancel this. We forgot to set the actual image path here. So we're going to say this dot image path path is equal to image path. Okay, so there's that. Okay, so let's just run it after we did that, and let's see what happens now. Okay, so we got another error. Now this is good because this is debugging here. So what is this one saying? It's suspended null pointer exception, so something's null. And it's over here, if you look at variables, it says t is null. So that means that this tile okay, I see why. So what's going on here is in the levels, or in the tile actually, we have an array of 256 size, but only 3 of these are actually set. And 3 of them are set at 0, 1, and 2, and it's still searching after that. So that's bad. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to level, and we're going to say if t is not equal to null, and just add that in there. And we'll actually put a break in there as well. What is going on here? Just so it's a little bit faster. I'm actually also going to show you about something here. I'm going to show you about labels. Now you can label these loops so that you can break out of specific ones at specific times. Now we're going to label this one because another reason why it's null is because it's continuing to check after we already got this tile, and we don't want that because that's really, really bad because it's going to go through 256 every single time no matter what. We just want to break after we find it. So we're going to label this and we're going to say tile check here, and then you put a colon and then a space right before the 4. So what that's going to do is it's going to assign the tile check variable to this. So now what we're going to say after this line is we're going to say break tile check. And what that's going to do is it's going to break out of the tile check loop and only that loop. So it'll go out into the next X iteration. Okay, so let's just run it and make sure that everything's working as we designated. And it is. You'll also notice that my guy spawns on 0, 0. And normally if we didn't take into consideration that people could spawn on these stone tiles in our collision detection last episode, you wouldn't be able to move at all. But thankfully we did, so we can walk around on it, but as soon as we leave this tile, we won't be able to get back on. So now we're stuck in the grass, and we can't get back onto any stone. So that's good for other stuff, but that was last episode. You also notice that this little 10 by 10 is 10 by 10. It is clearly 10 by 10. It's not clearly 10 by 10, but you got 3 here, 6 here, and another 2 on each side, so that's, or another, yeah, 2 here and 2 here. So that is 10. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. This has been about all. If you guys have any comments or questions for me, feel free to post them in the description. Also, if you guys want to post your games that you've made with this, feel free to do that. I was enthralled, or I was completely ecstatic that somebody actually did take this a bit further and implemented something on their own. It shows great initiative, and I'm really, really happy about that. So it's good that people are actually learning from this and taking things to their own way, kind of making things their own. So feel free to post that. I might actually open up a forum section on my website or something like that to allow you guys to put somewhere to post these kinds of things, so you guys can show each other what you're doing and stuff like that. But yeah, this has been Van Zeeben, and I hope you guys actually learned something today. Have a good day, guys.